Nigeria was granted independence on the first day of October in the year 1960. A new constitution established a federal system with an elected prime minister and a ceremonial head of state. The political party NCNC, now headed by Azikiwe, formed a coalition with Tafawa Balewa's NPC after another party won a majority in the 1959 elections. Balewa continued to serve as the prime minister, a position he had held since 1957, while Azikiwe took the largely ceremonial position of president of the Senate. Following the United Nations supervised referendum, the northern part of the Trust Territory of the Cameroons joined the northern Nigeria in June 1961, while in October, the southern Cameroons united with Cameroon to form the Federal Republic of Cameroon. On October 1, 1963, Nigeria became a republic. Azikiwe became president of the country, although as prime minister, Balewa was still more powerful. After a brief honeymoon period, Nigeria's long-standing regional stresses caused by ethnic competitiveness, educational inequality, and economic imbalance again came to the fore in the controversial census of 1962 to 1963. In an attempt to stave off ethnic conflict, the Midwest region was created in August 1963 by dividing the Western region. Despite this division, the country still was segmented into three large geopolitical regions, each of which was essentially controlled by an ethnic group. The West controlled by the Yoruba, the East controlled by the Igbo, and the North controlled by the Hausa Fulani. Conflicts were endemic. As regional leaders protected their privileges, the South complained of Northern domination, and the North feared that the Southern elite was bent on capturing power. In the West, the government had fallen apart in 1962, and a boycott of the federal election of December 1964 brought the country to the brink of breakdown. The point of no return was reached in January 1966 when, after the collapse of order in the West following the fraudulent election of October 1965, a group of army officers attempted to overthrow the federal government. Prime Minister Balewa and two of the regional premiers were murdered. A military administration was set up under Major General Guyi Ironsi, but his plan to abolish the regions and impose a unitary government met an anti-Igbo riot in the north. The military intervention worsened the political situation. As the army itself split along ethnic lines, its officers clashed over power, and the instigators and leaders of the January coup were accused of favoring Igbo domination. In July 1966, northern officers staged a counter-coup. Aguiyi Ironsi was assassinated, and Lieutenant Colonel Yakubu Gowon came to power. The crisis was compounded by intercommunal clashes in the north and threats of secession in the south. You see, Gowon's attempt to hold a conference to settle the constitutional future of Nigeria was abandoned after a series of ethnic massacres in October. A last-ditch effort to save the country was made in January 1967, when the Eastern delegation led by Lieutenant Colonel Odumegu Ojukwu agreed to meet the others on neutral ground at Aburi in Ghana, but the situation deteriorated after differences developed over the interpretation of the accord. But in May, the Eastern Region's Consultative Assembly authorized Ojukwu to establish a sovereign republic. And while at the same time, the federal military government promulgated a decree dividing the four regions into 12 states. Now, including 6 in the north and 3 in the east, in an attempt to break the power of the regions, on May 30, 1967, Ojukwu declared the succession of the 3 states of the eastern region under the name of the Republic of Biafra. With the federal government interpreted as an act of rebellion, fighting broke out in early July, and within weeks, the fighting had escalated into a full-scale civil war. In August, Biafran troops crossed the Niger, seized Benin City, and were well on their way to Lagos before they were checked in Atolwe, a small town in western region. Shortly thereafter, federal troops entered Enugu, the provisional capital of Biafra, and penetrated the Igbo heartland. The next 2 years were marked by stiff resistance in the shrinking Biafran enclave and by heavy casualties among civilians as well as in both armies, all set within what threatened to be a military stalemate. Peacemaking attempts by the Organization of African Union remained ineffective, while Biafra began earning recognition from African states and securing aid from international organizations for what was by then a starving population. By that introduction, you must have seen the picture of how Nigeria's independence journey started. In order not to overheat that angle alone, prior to independence, the two protectorates of the South and North were joined together to form an amalgamated country, Nigeria, in 1914. And up to this moment, so many people allege that the British colonialists were largely unjust in ruling. Such allegations are justified by their action in favoring the North with power against the South and providing more educational opportunities to the South against the North. This was not unconnected to the fact that northern emirs and politicians were a soft target and submissive and easy to use if compared to their southern counterparts. And on education, the South did not heavily resist the missionaries, thereby exposing them to Western education as benefit package accompanying Christianity as introduced by some Western missionaries. That formed part of the reason why the major role players and key independent agitators were Southerners, what triggered the North to resist moves for self-government, citing educational backwardness in the region as excuses. Accepting it or not, political independence came as Nigerians took over management of their own country. Nigeria's 61-year political independence journey is characterized by different obstacles, ranging from military interventions to deep-rooted entanglement by unscrupulous politicians, and this is believed to have been strangling the nation's neck. Nigeria, a country with over 200 million people and nearly 500 distinct languages scattered across multi-ethnic groups, becomes humanly prone to ethnicity and hatred on ethnic identity. On a real sense, the divide and rule tactics used by the British colonialists prior to independence was systematically reintroduced by the military after the 1966 first coup, ushering in the era of 12 states, 20 states, coming down to the current 36 states, what caused more division among the people of the already divided regions. These further divisions had practically placed huge and unbearable financial burden to the people through their government, but largely advantageous to those in power, their families, and their allies. The military had gone back to barracks and did not return since 1999, though the same military minds in civilian dresses governs 14 out of Nigeria's 22 years of uninterrupted democracy. The question is, have we been any better? Can we rightly say we have taken our right place among the committee of nations? Have Nigeria in any way fulfilled every requirement of claiming or sustaining the title Giant of Africa? Well, you can give answers to these questions yourself. One other interesting fact is that Nigeria is the most populous black nation in the world. By implication, 1 out of every 10 black person is a Nigerian, directly or indirectly. Also, Nigeria is among the top oil producing countries in the world, yet one of the poorest. The Nigerian National Bureau of Statistics said in 2020 that 40% of Nigerians live in poverty. This represents 83 million people, and it is estimated that the number of poor people will increase to 90 million, representing 45% of the population by 2022. The same Statistics Bureau data suggests that the number of poor Nigerians exceeds the total population of South Africa, Namibia, Botswana, Lesotho, Mauritius, and Eswatini combined. Wow! If the World Bank's income poverty threshold of $3.20 per day is used, Nigeria's poverty rate is 71%, compared to lower rates for some oil-producing developing countries like Brazil, Mexico, Ecuador, and Iran, which poverty rate is at 9%, 6.5%, 9.7%, and 3.1% respectively. These are mind-blowing, scary facts. Minding the fact that our population increases and cost of living is increasingly unbearable for the common man. Insecurity bedeviling the country is not unconnected to economic hardship, coupled with destructive political policies introduced by governments at all levels over time. You do not need to travel far across Nigeria to see a generation of young people lost in the world of cybercrime and ostensibly pushed by poverty and frustrations ignited due to intimidation from lavish and luxurious lives lived by political office holders. You will find these young people in Nigerian cities like Lagos, Benin, and Owerri, lauding cyber attacks and defrauding people of their money. Some of these cyber criminals did not complete their education, while others are high school graduates or even students. The Boko Haram insurgency, Biafran agitation, and even the Oodua uprising are all believed to be a reaction to the nepotic, lackadaisical, and tactical marginalized government system in Nigeria. The defining line between the poor and the politically advantaged is so thick and obvious in education, healthcare, job acquisition, and other fields of human endeavors. Despite all these challenges, we still have reasons to smile and be proud at least. Though we import almost everything we use, but we produce largely the raw materials needed by industries across the globe, like crude oil, iron ore, coal, timber, rubber, cocoa, and cotton. Power is still our problem, but relatively stable power supplies in some places for at least 9 to 10 hours daily. Nigeria has produced exceedingly smart, able-bodied human beings, dead and alive, whose names are written in gold and will forever remain in the memories of history. Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, who is the current Director General of World Trade Organization, is a proud Nigerian woman who had risen to the position of Managing Director, World Bank, and had held numerous key positions in the international community. Mrs. Amina Mohammed is the current Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations. She is also a Nigerian. Tony Elumelu, a renowned economist who is the founder of United Bank of Africa with branches scattered across Africa and beyond, is a Nigerian. The current President African Development Bank, Akinwumi Adesina, is also a Nigerian. Aliko Dangote, who is the richest man in Africa, is a Nigerian. The world-recognized car designer Jelani Aliyu is a Nigerian. As our country marks its 61-year independence, Nigerian leaders should be reminded that history would judge one by their achievements while in power, and by extension, it is not about what every previous administration had done, but always about how well current administration utilizes the inherited and ability to build on. The masses should always evaluate and view the other side of the coin while rating performances and reaching decisions in connection to their government. Let's keep the hope alive.